What's going on, guys? Sam Wicker here from Socracy Media, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create the wall break effect as seen in Shock Warfare 3. Now here's that effect. So as you can see, we have a huge wall break explosion after a sticky grenade hits the wall behind our friend Bob with a sniper and explodes that wall into many different little fragments and a lot of debris. So I'm going to be showing you how I created this. I know this was a very popular tutorial. We got requested this a ton on Twitter and Facebook, and I apologize for taking so long to have this come out. I do intend to have frequent tutorials come out. I'd even like to make them weekly. We've just been bogged down with short films, more content for you guys, and college applications. So anyways, back to the tutorial. To do this, we're going to create it entirely in 3ds Max using a plugin called Rayfire. If you haven't checked out Rayfire, I recommend you do so. Now, I'm going to drag out a plane in our scene, and I'm just going to change these dimensions to 500 by 500, and I'm going to get rid of this ugly yellow color, because that is just a pain to look at. Okay, and now we have, I press G to get rid of the grid, now we have our plane, which is going to be our ground, where the fragments are going to impact, and our fragments are going to bounce off of, but now we need a wall to actually explode. So I'm going to drag out a box. Just bring that up. All right, and now there's our wall. Now the only thing we're missing is a bomb, which we can get from Rayfire. We're going to go under the helpers, Rayfire, Rayfire bomb. We'll drag this out behind our wall because we want our wall to explode out in this direction, just like it did in Shock Warfare 3, where we had the grenade hit right here, and then it explodes out in the view we're currently at. So we're going to move our bomb behind the wall slightly, and we're going to drag it up. Alright, so now we have these three assets in our scene, and what we need to do next is actually fragment this wall so we have pieces to work with and explode out. So we're going to select the wall, let's go back to our standard primitives, go down to Rayfire, open the Rayfire floater, and we're going to add this box to our impact objects. Then we're going to go over to fragments, and we're going to fragment this. So typically, and actually what I did for the test was I fragmented it about 10 times, like this. Then, because I didn't want to work with so many fragment pieces and bog down my computer when I was doing the actual visual effects shot, I came back over here, sent all to sleeping list, and then just selected the ones around the bomb to fragment even more. So I did about 50 then. And then I would repeat that and just continue to get more detail in these fragments around here. But since this is a test, I'm going to go ahead and just fragment this wall to have about 400 pieces. And let's do 500. Alright, so there's our 500 pieces in our wall. And now I'm going to go back to the objects and send these all to the sleeping list, because we don't want these to actually move in our simulation until they're affected by a force. And that force is the bomb. So one other thing we need to do before we work with the bomb is we need to add our plane, our ground plane, to the simulation, and we're going to add it to the static objects tab. All right, so that's in there, and that just means that it's not going to be affected by the simulation. It's just going to act as a barrier. So these pieces, if they interact with it, these pieces are going to collide, and they're just going to bounce off of it. They're going to stop. There's going to be friction, everything that you have in a ground plane. All right, now we'll head over to the physics tab where we want to add our bomb. We're going to add our bomb under the simulation properties. We'll click add. And one other thing we want to do before we run our first simulation is change the settings of the bomb. We're going to head over to the modify tab, and we'll just change our frame rate to, or not our frame rate, we'll change our frame that the explosion actually occurs on to about frame 5. And let's bring that strength up to about 5. And these are all numbers you're going to want to play around with. You get a lot of different results by adjusting these numbers, and it's pretty fun. So I recommend it. We'll click bake, and we'll see what happens. Alright, well, that looks pretty cool, but we've got a problem. Our wall is completely falling down. I decided to hold off on changing a setting just to show you guys what happens when you encounter these problems. It's very common when I do visual effects. I encounter problems like this, and I need to figure out what I can do to go about fixing this, and that's when you normally consult the internet. But luckily for you guys, you have me here. So I'm going to show you that you need to turn on dead sleeping objects. And when you turn that on, you're going to basically, with this value right here, change how the objects around the radius of this bomb are affected by the explosion. So let's raise this to about 50 and see what happens. Click bake. So look at that. These fragments on the side weren't affected, but we still have the problem with the fragments at the top. So we're going to stop this, and we just need to raise that value. Let's double it. And we'll click bake again. We're getting even closer. I have a really good feeling about this one. I'm going to put it at 140 and click bake. All right, so I think that gets the point across of how to do that wall break. What I normally would have done, though, is made this wall actually higher, but that's really dependent on your visual effects shot. And again, you're going to be working with different sizes, different unit sizes, depending on how big your wall is for your visual effects shot. But this is the basic idea behind the wall break effect. We had this wall, we fragmented it, and then we used the rayfire bomb to explode it outwards. And we made sure not to affect pieces around it that we didn't want to affect. But what's great about having that feature on, the dead sleeping objects, is that you get these objects right here that just start to fall, but then stop. When you have a lot more detail in these fragments, your simulation looks even better. And in the example I showed you with Chalk Warfare 3, I also included fume effect smoke to follow these pieces, so it looked like there was a lot of debris that came out. Again, I would love to make a tutorial on that too. If you think that would help you, please leave a comment below. And I would also like to show you how I composite this shot in After Effects. So please leave a comment below if you'd like to see those tutorials. If you have any other tutorial suggestions, hit us up on Instagram, hit us up on Facebook, and just stay updated with us and check out the website. You can leave us a message on there. Thanks, guys.